part two of the Alexa videos. So, um, it's again that we've trained the system to replace us. And with the with the recent rise of all of the things that are going on in Hollywood and so forth, this whole AI generated videos and what's real and not real, quote unquote, fake news, all of this stuff has been released at a time when it will make it hard for anybody to say that this stuff that we're seeing is real and not real. And I'll let you all make your own conclusion with that. So I think there's a reason why. Number two, there's a movie called Cam, and this movie is about a young woman, probably in her early 20s, who lives in like an apartment. I can't office apartment or home, but she has at least two bedrooms, and one of the bedrooms is a huge space and that she's decorated, and she's on live streaming. And the people that watch her doing live stream will send her like emojis or what they call tokens, whether it's a rose or there's some sort of symbol for money, and the monies are in various amounts, and they ask her to do things like some guy may say, hey, I'll give you $500 to pretend to stab yourself, and somebody else will say, I dare you to stick your finger down your throat and throw up. And so it's one of those kind of weird things, right? And back then, that type of thing wasn't something that was being done at the time. It's being done now. And the movie Cam was something that came out long ago before what they call bots or AI generated um, people. And in the movie, basically, they show her getting on camera every day, going into the room, putting on certain outfits. Some days she would be angry and upset because she had gotten to a point where the men started asking her to do more and more weird, degrading things. But also, like in today's society, there are people who got on social media and they wanted to start a channel, and they're making all of this money, and were paying them to do this and to do that. And before you know it, they had to do more and more outrageous things because people got bored with certain things. And then before you know it, she had put herself in a situation where the things that she was being asked, the things that she was asked to be done were getting to the point where she started to feel some sort of kind of way about herself. And then they would call her names and degrade her. And we've heard about that on OnlyFans and things like that, where a lot of the girls said, oh, I started out just showing my feet. And before you know it, the men were like, we want to see more. So it pretty much sometimes ends in like, it you shouldn't have just started it in the beginning, because at the end of the day, either they stop making money because then there are a million people that come after you that's doing the same thing. Like, it's just one of these things where once you saturate the market, the foundation will crumble. Uber, gig apps, everybody starts running to it. You're making a lot of money. Everybody starts quitting their jobs. They run to it. All of a sudden, the system crumbles. And now everybody's working for pennies. Everybody's struggling to get clients. And if you get what I'm saying, it was all just a way to, I guess, test loyalty and all of those other things that most people, by that brief statement, can kind of understand. That the bottom will always fall out at some point. Now, in the movie, one day she wakes up and she tries to log on and she can't get on. And somehow or another, with her trying to get on, she realizes that she's actually on the live stream, and she's like, well, wait a minute, I'm just now logging on. There's no way in the world my live stream can be going, can actually be going. And I'm not, I'm not on the live stream. So who is this person? Who she says is impersonating her. Well, so long or the short is, but you should watch the movie. Again, it's called Cam. And she spends like the rest of the movie trying to figure out who is this woman that is impersonating her, and how did she get locked out of her account, and da 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 da. Now, in today's world, we would see that as a bot. Towards the end, as she gets to the end of the movie, she's able to break back into her account and take it back over, and she's the real person. But everybody, when she was trying to contact people that she knew and this that and the other, they were saying, well, we don't believe it's you because we're watching you right now in live time. It took her a minute. She got her channel back, and she's all beat up and bruised. She gets back on the camera because she's now taking control back over her camera. So looking back, it kind of plays a little part in what I was saying about the whole, you know, AI bots. And there was another movie where, um, there was another movie where I think it was, I don't know if it was a Black Mirror episode or Netflix, but it was one where, um, it was an actress and she was getting older, and she wanted a movie, wanted to star in a movie, some movies. And they gave her a contract that said when she got a certain age that, well, no. She started not getting parts because of her age. So she signed a contract that said they can use her likeness, which means she would be AI generated. And the truth of the matter is, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, there's this new movie out, but when you watch the cinematics, it really looks AI generated, which kind of makes me believe that they've now sold their likeness. So they're not actually starring in these movies. They're actually AI generated. So nothing you see is real. It's all just, you're not even watching the real people. But in this episode, it showed a woman who had sold her likeness because she still needed to make money, but she was too old. And so she's like, as the movie went on, she just aged and aged and aged. But when you saw her on camera, they were just simply using her likeness. And so again, that goes into the bots and so on. So I threw all of that in there to kind of tie in this world that we're now living in. And so basically, the playing of video games, just play the game, and you're teaching the game what to shoot and what a person looks like. And they had a brief clip on the news, or some little, I don't want to call it a documentary, but they did like a little report about how some country in Africa, there was like a building where, in certain countries, people are poor. And so what they do is they capitalize on that. And so they hired a bunch of people from that country to go into this building and just to watch videos. All they did was watch videos all day, and their job was to label everything that they saw until the machine, whatever they were feeding the information into, could identify these items themselves. And then the people that were doing the jobs were let go. But the only reason why people were doing the jobs is because they didn't have any money. They were struggling. And at that point in time, they would rather get paid for 6 months and then not have a job than to just not have money. They had this other woman. She was a freelance something, a freelance writer. She did freelance something. She lost her job, and the only job that she could find, which was to work for some sort of company that allowed her to log in certain information. She was teaching the machine how to do the job, and then eventually she wouldn't have the job anymore. But she was like, I'm broke, I don't have any money, I have bills to pay. And so I just took the job, but then I also made myself obsolete. So I want you all to allow all of that to sink in. Now, this thing, as far as the children are concerned, I had to kind of throw those in there to kind of get you an idea of, like, other people who may already know this information, how all of this worked together. And so when they talk about, they were talking about at one point about how, oh, are we living in the Matrix, and how do you know we're real? And they had some videos where they were talking to the people in the video game and saying, well, I'm real, I know I'm real, right? Trying to convince you that we weren't actually real. And how did we know? I said, well, the truth of the matter is, I don't believe for a second that we are not real. I believe that the same way you have the Mandela effect. You can make somebody believe something if you can't necessarily prove or disprove it. Now, in a very peculiar kind of way, you can kind of see where now they're saying, now that, and like, we were all sitting around a screen watching these characters inside of a box. And some games you shoot, you playing Roblox, and we're the ones who are watching these people inside of this machine. And now we have eyes on us, and now they're watching us. So we're kind of in the matrix now, if you really think about it, in every way, shape, and form. Opening your car doors, your windows. You can't do anything in your house unless it's run by an app. Everything you do is run by an app, right? Which means you're now locked into the matrix in your phone. They have some apartment complexes now that are being built where you have to download an app in order to lock and unlock your door. Some places have keypads. One lady said they had fobs, but then they sent an email telling everybody the fob system is now being taken out, and you have to download an app on your phone that you also have to pay for $80 to one to two, about $80 to $100. So every time you get ready to go in your door, you have to use your phone, because they know that people can throw their phones away, and then in turn implement the underground wires for your phones. So what they're doing is to eliminate all of that. They're making it so now that everything you do is on your phone, and it's still easy. Now, I get it. You can't make money now without your phone. There are people who don't work anymore. All of their income is coming from YouTube or something that happens online. And the reason why they did that is because they knew that nobody is going to risk their livelihood. They don't have the patience. A lot of people don't care. A lot of people have lost their money, livelihoods, homes, and a lot of people have not. But ultimately, the majority of people are not going to just stop for a number of reasons. So the fact that the lady was saying, now I have to pay $2,000-$3,000 a month for rent, and now you're telling me I have to spend up $80 to $100 more every month for an app that I have to put on my phone to unlock the door when I go and come, which means now they know when you're home. They know when you're not home, when you leave your home. Now that they have these new cars that have implemented the system in which it's monitoring you. They know when you're in the car. They know what you look like. They know how you breathe. They know exactly where you are. They have the flock cameras, which means I've seen some cop videos where they do a lot of the traffic stops and things where they pulled this woman over, and her bumper was off of her car, and she radioed in and said, hey, this is the license plate. They put the license plate in, and wherever they put it in at, it instantly pulled up. Whenever she entered that particular jurisdiction, all he had to do was pull in the plate. Once they put in the numbers of the plate, it came up and said where was her last point of entry and where. And it looked at her car to see if she had the bumper on there. Did she get into an accident? So they're able to track anywhere you are, which means police presence isn't necessary to a degree, because they know where you are at every second. Now, when you go into your apartment, they'll know exactly when you get home. They'll know when you leave out of your home. They'll know when you come back in your home. They'll know how long you've been in your home. They're talking about the internet boxes in which now from the screen it can monitor, or has like heat sensors where they know where you are in your apartment, and da 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 da. Okay, so back to this Alexa system. So the only thing that I'm very puzzled about is, why are these children responding this way? And is it possible that in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through vaccines, whether it's through some sort of something we can't hear, whether it's through the tablets, the cartoons, something that the children are listening to from the little music songs that they play, like Baby Shark, or is there something going on in which these children have had something put in them some sort of way that the moment that their parent says Alexa, the child completely freaks out and bows down? You have to ask yourself, how is that even possible, right? So, in the movie Hereditary, the bowing down is what puzzled me. And in the movie, it says, well, I was talking about the end of the scene and how the headless people were bowed down. And it says, family legacy, the headless corpses of Annie and Ellen, which is the daughter, the daughter's body, the one who had gotten beheaded by the light pole when the son was trying to take her to the hospital. The mother's head, I guess, had eventually been beheaded, and it was the son who was standing there, which is where that deity had entered to. So whatever thing that they were doing while the daughter had gotten down there had eventually somehow worked. They managed to work out whatever this thing was to get the son as the host. So Annie was the daughter who had her head beheaded in the car, and Ellen was the mother. And it says, the headless corpses of Annie and Ellen represent the destructive inheritance of trauma and demonic influence passed through generations, which is why even in the Black community, we go through a lot of trauma, and people are on drugs and alcoholics, and they're eating too much, and they shop too much, and people are spazzing out, is because there have been so much trauma inflicted upon them that's what also creates alters and people with identity disorders and bipolar. Like, it talks about trauma first because the mother was traumatized by her childhood. Payment's control. Now, Payment is the deity that went into the sun, which is what they were trying to invoke and bring, and that was supposed to be the host. Now, when you think about that, Payment in a way would kind of be like Pan and or Alexa, or the AI, the all-seeing eye, or the demon. They said they believe that the internet is the demon, or AI would be the all-knowing. And this is where we're going to get all of our information, which goes back to the whole idea of the Mandela effect, and how, they don't want to have any more books, and all of the information you're going to get from the AI, and how you can change history by simply, number one, not having a hard copy, number one, and number two, every generation has a different starting point, which means, and I saved a part of this video where a mother, or I think it was a mother or a father, was video recording their son standing in the middle of the floor, and he was like in his early 20s. And the mother was asking him these questions. And the son, could only give an answer based on their reference in life. So if you asked, when she was asking the son something, the father could give another answer, but the son could only give the answer based on what it is that he was taught growing up, and it was completely wrong. But I think it goes to point of reference, which is you can change history the moment that you don't teach children the right information, and it changes once you give someone a new bit of information. From that point on, that's the information that you have, and you take that as fact because you have nothing else to compare it to. Now, if I'm ever able to post a new video and show you, or tell you specifically what it meant, but basically, in the parent was actually quite brilliant by recording this, because basically what they were saying is, in 20 or 30 years, what's actually true and real, that we'll never really know what's true, because when this person was asking the child or the young adult the question, that answer was completely different than the one that the parent would have gave to the exact same question based on the point of reference. So now, Payman being, when I was researching about Alexa and, this one world order system that we're going into. So it says, Payman, the act of bowing before the idols, signifies the complete submission to King Payman, the demon that seeks to inhabit Peter's body. And so the bowing is significant to complete submission to the king, which means they were saying that the name Alexa and the letter X, and the whole idea of all of the knowledge going into the computer, that us bowing and worshiping the beast, and the significance of the bowing down, and the head, that the people being headless was, like, I guess it's kind of metaphorical, in that we're going to be pretty much, now that you see a lot of apartment complexes and homes, they're all cookie cutter, they all look the same way. They've taken away music and things that allow people to be free thinkers and to think for themselves, and now people are afraid to protest, and you don't have real artists anymore. You don't have They're just doing away with creativity, which means everything that's happening now is based on electronics, and now you can generate music by putting in certain things and it'll come up with a song. So we have now replaced everything about who we are as people. We've pretty much become soulless, is what they're trying to insinuate. And so when I see the child or the children go down in the video, that is symbolic of the submission to King Payman. And King Payman, it was the deity, but if you really think about it, we'll say it like this: think of Payman, this deity that now inhabits this sun. Think of that as Siri or Alexa or AI, or us having to need our phone to do everything. I want you to think about it in that respect. Think about the all-seeing eye. Think about the flock cameras. Think about it in that respect, and you'll understand that that is kind of what it is. And that the puzzling part is that these children have now assumed a position based on that one word, in which they are saying, "You are my king," or "You are my whatever," but they're talking about this system. So, and it says, visual metaphor, the headless figures emphasize the loss of identity and autonomy, illustrating how the characters are manipulated by external forces. Conclusion: this scene encapsulates the film's theme of familiar obligation, the inescapability of fate, and the horror of losing one's self to maleficent powers. Okay, now the one other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is, there was a movie called Childhood's End, and a lot of people know what that is. It was by Arthur C. Clarke. And we have had these stories and rumors about, people are now seeing the UFOs, and they're kind of setting us up for this kind of invasion. And at first they were denying it. All of that ties in. So now they're trying to prepare us for some some sort of possible alien invasion, and oh, they live among us. Anybody who saw the movie The Body Snatchers, They Live, all of these things are just preparing you for something. Even if there are no creatures and weird things out there, and they've created them in a lab somewhere, so that when the time came, they can use that as a way to, say, oh, y'all denied it, and there they really here, and um me saying that leads into the book. It says the story um revolves around a peaceful alien invasion of Earth by the mysterious overlords. Now, we've heard about this stuff in um social media. We've heard about it on YouTube. We've heard about it. Oh, there's going to be some sort of alien invasion, and they're really the leaders. No, we found them in caves, and that's where we learned all our stuff. And we're now being prepared for something that relates to this. And I'm only telling you about this book, which was written published in 1953. That you can see the significance in, and it's called Childhood's End. And it says, the story revolves around a peaceful alien invasion of Earth by the mysterious overlords who guide humanity into a utopian existence while gradually erasing human identity and culture. Let all of that sink in as it relates to when I first started in the first video. The plot overview: the narrative spans over 130 years, beginning with the overlords' arrival and their influence on human society initially. And that goes back to everybody saying they feel like the aliens are getting ready to come through, and people have talked about it. And this is the story, right? Now, can we confirm or deny it at this point? Have I seen anything over here in the, where I live at? I haven't seen it, but we've seen videos, we've heard stuff. So, this is just speculatory, I guess, for now. Or I guess what they tell us to say, no, it's a lion, but we're going to tell you it's a kitten with a pink bow. So this is the kitten with the pink bow. Okay. The reality is that whatever it is, we're being prepared for something. And so part of it is that they're saying that the aliens are getting ready to come, or we're getting ready to realize that, all of the leaders or the people in the music industry are really reptilian and aliens and all of this stuff, and they're getting ready to rule. So I'm assuming that all of this is relevant to whatever it is that they're talking about now, right? Blueprint of prophecy, take your pick. So it becomes clear that the utopia carries at a significant cost to human individuality and cultural heritage. The key themes include loss of identity, the nature of evolution, and the intersection of science and religion. He explores the overlord's guidance. Be ready for part 3.